At a time of great crisis, in the boardrooms of Hollywood, the legends foretell the development executives will return to Reboot It. Welcome back to Reboot It, the show for the golden age of Hollywood IP, where all of your favorite franchises will get reboots. We're just here to hopefully do it better than anybody else. I am former development executive, producer Bill, and with me, as always, the Reboot Crew. We have from the late Screen Junkies, Mr. Billy Business.
I think what you meant to say was from the upcoming Doug Defends podcast.
Oh,
Rising from the ashes.
You're starting that promo early. I like that.
The press tour is kicking off, baby.
All right. With me and Billy, we of course have comedian and writer Ed Greer.
All righty then, that's me.
And semi-pro poker player and the nicest professional rollerblader in all of fandom, comedian Ron Swallow.
Not to mention the greatest pod that Ed Greer and Ron. Are we doing promos? I just
love it. Love it. I'm also on the greatest pod. So if you're not getting your fix from this here YouTube show, go download the greatest pod on your favorite podcatcher app. But today, gentlemen, all righty then, we are talking about the Jim Carrey classic from that fateful year, 1993, when he was in not one, not two, but three major blockbusters. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Guys, I want to go around the horn. What does this absolutely need? What can we not leave out? What is the secret sauce of an Ace Ventura reboot? The thing nobody could possibly be asking for. Billy, what do you think?
You gotta have pets. Animals have got to be in there. You can't not do it. It can't be Ace Ventura custodian at large. It's got to be pets.
Ace Ventura Sky Detective? I mean, we could just give him a totally different name.
We could, but then you rob yourself of him being birthed out of some animal's asshole. So,
ooh, one of the great gags of all time. Ed, what's a can't miss for Ace Ventura?
Well, I think one of the things that has to be in there is detecting, because he was a good detective despite all the shenanigans. He absolutely was still a good detective. I don't want us to lose that.
Excellent point. Ron, besides pets and detecting, what does Ace Ventura Pet Detective absolutely need?
This is the short straw, for real. Go, Ron.
comedy.
Well, that's where we're coming from, folks. We've got all the secret sauce ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and say, I think Ace Ventura Pet Detective needs a little bit of that tropical flair that between his Hawaiian shirts, the Miami setting of the first one, the jungle setting of the second one, and just, the fact that it never felt like anything was too difficult. Like there's just sort of an easy breezy, almost yacht rock style to Ace Ventura that I hope we can capture with this reboot.
Yeah. Okay.
Nobody has any opinion on that.
Okay. Well, here. Okay. Can I say this about Ace Ventura? I think Ace Ventura is not a character. I think it's a joke, and I think that if you get the joke and you like the joke, that can sustain you for a very long time. But to me, it's like the goats in Thor: Love and Thunder. Oof! If you don't find that funny, you are in for it, because that's what it is. So I almost say, like, what do we have to do in an Ace Ventura? It's like, well, if we want to be true to what Ace Ventura is, it's like Seinfeld in the sense of, like, there's no hugs, there's no growth, there's no human moments in this. It is literally just like you give a kid some, the candy rocks and just watch them go nuts for 90 minutes.
Well, and let's talk about, like, this was a vehicle for Jim Carrey. So I think one of the big issues is, do we actually want to do something crazy and do casting early and try to build something around someone's talent or something along those lines? I mean, I don't know if that's the needed thing, but it's like, that's what that was for. Ace Ventura was because we have this crazy guy who makes wild faces and does insane stuff. Let's make him make a movie that's him being funny.
I agree with you, Ron. It's like if we don't, we have to know if Jim's in it or not, or else like you can't move forward.
Well, let's talk about the fact that the Ace Ventura franchise is a little bit bigger than people might be thinking. We, of course, have the original Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, which is largely seen as Jim Carrey's sort of coming out party to the wider pop culture landscape. This is where everybody discovered a man with an absolutely unique and top-tier gift for physical comedy, for weird kind of like half physical and also good voice work impressions. And a guy who just had a completely skewed sensibility that even he today kind of rejects or at least tries to position himself against. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was a surprise blockbuster out of The Mask, Batman Forever, and Ace Ventura, the three movies that Jim Carrey had in the same year. Ace Ventura was probably the one that nobody would have expected to be a big hit, but especially on home video, it absolutely.
Don't forget Dumb and Dumber. It was Dumb and Dumber, Mask, and Ace Ventura were all 94, and then 95 he followed it up with Batman Forever. I mean,
That's
93
insane.
to 95, actually 93 to like Cable Guy, whenever that was all Jim Carrey.
That's fair. I had my Jim Carrey three-peat a little bit
I'm shocked because they're all such different characters, Bill. He really stretched his acting ability.
And I do want to come back around to this, but I'll just finish off our kind of overview by saying that, of course, Ace Ventura Pet Detective birthed the sequel, Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, one of the great subtitles of all time. And then also a short-lived and pretty much totally forgotten animated series, which, if I'm not mistaken, did not star Jim Carrey in the title role, even though it was the same character from the movies. But we have a little bit of precedent there of trying to make the Ace Ventura character at least somewhat distinct from Jim Carrey and his entire comic persona. My question then becomes, is the failure of Ace Ventura as an animated series an indicator that we maybe shouldn't go a totally different route or not? And have any of you guys actually seen it?
So I have not seen the animated series, but there is one thing you're leaving out that we should actually probably pay attention to,
Please.
Which is Ace Ventura Jr. Pet Detective.
Oh, God.
Which is a direct-to-video sequel. And let me tell you why that's important. Because it is so dark in the sense of, like, obviously Jim Carrey is not going to do a direct-to-video, but it's all about his son that he had. I guess he had one with Courtney Cox from the first movie. And it's just like, by the end, you know, he never comes back. He doesn't come back for his kid because Jim Carrey's not coming back for direct-to-video. So it just makes Ace Ventura seem like even a bigger shithead that he has a kid that idolizes him and he never comes back. Like, that's... So maybe we stay away from, like, hey, son of Ace, because it's like, let's not go there again, you know?
I think we go traditional and reboot the whole thing. Like, you know?
I think there's something to that. Let me just say, so as we get into the source material a little bit, I grew up with Ace Ventura. Ace Ventura and The Mask, to me, were unassailable classics as a kid. But one thing I will say, even in retrospect, a lot of Ace Ventura maybe doesn't hold up, but they had a real story in that movie. And I would argue that that movie is a great example of that kind of 90s comedy formula where your big name comic actor in the title role is kind of a larger than life cartoon, almost a superhero-ish character that's just dropped in the middle of a completely ordinary world, kind of a piece with the Chris Farley movies, the Adam Sandler movies, to a much lesser extent, the Rob Schneider movies. But they all kind of operated according to that formula. And if you look at the substance of the original Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, it's actually, number one, a real mystery. He's going after Snowflake the dolphin. Also, weirdly, a sports movie because Snowflake the dolphin is the official mascot of the Miami Dolphins. And he does, to Ed's point, some really hardcore detecting. Like, he goes after that dolphin, and it's a really tangled web. Like, misogyny and transphobia maybe notwithstanding, the final resolution of the mystery is something like straight out of a 1970s potboiler, like just right down to like people having secret surgeries and escaping insane asylums to adopt new identities with long-standing grudges. And I mean, there's a lot to it that I think it doesn't get enough appreciation for, because Jim Carrey's talking out of his ass in multiple scenes of the movie, literally. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that aspect of it?
Well, I really think it's funny when you talk out of your ass. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I laughed so hard at that when I was a teenager that like I rewound that 47 times. I mean, I think we need to have an ass talking scene, or it isn't Ace Ventura. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think that it's interesting that one of the problems we're going to have is, do we want to work backwards and decide what he's solving?
Mm-hmm.
And then that way we can move forward into it, or vice versa. Like, where are your guys' mind on this, and which direction we want to go? What kind of crime is it? Just missing cats and dogs? Is it, something else? Like, what do we think?
I mean, I don't know. The first thing that sparks to me is the fact that the search for something simple like an animal leads him to a much larger conspiracy. I think it's as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like a missing cat case turning into the Maltese Falcon or the Big Sleep, but with Ace Ventura in it. You know what I'm saying? That's my very first thought.
There's an interesting argument here where Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, the second one, was also about him going after a missing animal. And look, there's a lot of problems with that movie, but to me, one of the problems in the writing of it is that it's just not as compelling of a mystery. Like from very early on, this sacred animal in this, in this small tribal community has gone missing. And like, we're introduced to wealthy industrialists who want to develop the land. So it's like from the beginning, I wonder what happened. And to me, like that really takes something out of the movie, wherein in the first one, like you've got red herrings, you've got twists and turns, you've got multiple suspects. It becomes a whole big thing. So I don't know. To your point, Ed, I think that yes, starting with the lost animal and branching into something interesting is huge. But I also think more than just the world it's branching into, the mystery has got to have some juice to it. I don't know.
And it's got to ruin this dude's life. Like one of the things that's interesting is, I mean, I enjoy those movies, don't get me wrong, but like Ace Ventura's life is not that bad. Like everything he's going through is he's just solving a mystery. I mean, if that's what we're going to do, that's great. But what if while solving the mystery, he's got a real antagonist who mysteriously is like making it hard for him to live his life, not only to solve the problem, but actually like just pay his bills, live his life in general, whatever it is. Like he's simultaneously leading this guy in the wrong direction. It's almost like we're doing Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, but funny and pets.
I don't know. Could you take the animal aspect and like, we don't, from my memory, and I'll be 100% honest, I didn't watch all of the second Ace Ventura. One was plenty. But could you, like, we never really see Ace and a pet detective in the context of other sort of like, crime, like FBI or whatever. It's like, could there be like an assassination attempt and it's clearly like framed by like, it's like, but it was a cat or it was a dog or it was like, so like we found a bunch of cat hairs and dog hairs or this wild animal hair at the scene, and it's just like, oh god, do we have to call in the pet detective guy, and like watch him do his shtick, but like on a grand scale where there are actual like pretty big stakes. Normally, like I think what kind of kept, like I really loved The Mask, like of that like unofficial Carrey trilogy, the Dumb and Dumber, Mask, and this. I love The Mask because he was a human being at some points, and then he turned on his Ace Ventura when he put the mask on. So it's like we got human moments in between. There are like no human moments in Ace Ventura, and I kind of think that like if you tried to make any sort of human moments in this thing, people would be like, well, that's not what I came here for. So it's like, all right, then let's just take a big swing and just do like, what's the doofiest fucking thing that he could do? It's like, I don't know, stop an assassination that was going to happen to or buy an animal.
And
I want to
solve
see
it.
a dog. I want to see a dog or a Siberian cat that can hold a sniper. That sounds awesome.
What I was going to say, just right off the bat, just to get some stuff going. What if an animal team killed some dignitary and we have actionable evidence, and the only person that could actually put together how a parakeet and a wolverine and a this took out all the Secret Service of Sri Lanka and killed the premier? It's like, this is the work of da-da-da. It's like the only person we know that could get on this. Are you stupid? You know, and they got to go get Ace Ventura commando style, or absolutely ridiculous.
And that raises the stakes, dude, because now he's in over his head, right? He normally finds pets, but now.
Well, hold on. We keep saying he, and we keep saying he normally does this. Well, no.
Could be a she.
It could be, but we need to stop.
Yeah,
because
I get where you're going. Right.
Yeah, I do want to address Ron's point from earlier. We need to start conceptualizing who Ace Ventura is. And the biggest question is it Jim Carrey or is it not?
My very first vote, and I honestly understand the problems we would have trying to get him to come back. He has stated earlier that he can only come back for super stuff or for stuff his kids like. So he came back for Sonic. And if we could make this something that either A, his kids like, or an actual acting challenge to like try to recapture that character, but to show how the years have worn on him, like just that little bit of death in his eyes, and then he gets it back over the course of the movie. Like he's getting more and more already than for over the course of it or something. He's always him, but it's almost like this muted thing because the years have worn him down, or he's a loser at the beginning. Maybe there was a spike of fame, Die Hard style. You know, I am very interested in Die Hard 3 Ace Ventura. I'm just throwing it out there.
Dark Knight Returns Ace Ventura.
But not,
I mean, it's a reboot cool, but if that's, well, I mean, I'm not going to try to no-butt you on that.
Wait. You hold on. We're not just going to go down this road because Ed makes a compelling or halfway compelling argument. You'll see where I'm leaning. Ron, what are your actual thoughts? Should we try to get Jim Carrey back or not?
I guess kayfabing it in the spirit of this, like the challenge, I think we should reboot it and try to choose a new actor that has to do a thing. I think that's the hard thing to do. So part of me is like, let's choose the hard thing to do. Choose a new comedic actor who's hot and interesting and funny and try to make this one of their things, you know, but it's going to be hard because Jim Carrey has been in all the Sonic movies. So now his star is back high enough that like there's an argument either way. What about you guys? What do you think?
Billy?
Which side do I go on? I actually, you know what? I know it's not, but it's just like, why can't Ace Ventura be James Bond? Why can't it just be like new actor, loose continuity? Like we know he exists somewhere. Maybe those adventures we had before are the same guy, maybe not. Doesn't really matter. But I do kind of like the idea. People might hate it, but I do kind of like the idea of like a Tim Robinson or a Marcelo Hernandez just be like, here you go, kid. This is it. You've been handed the brass ring. Run with it if you can, you know?
I'm going to third that. And let me come at it from a totally different viewpoint. I think Jim Carrey kind of sucks now. I think it would be sad. I think it would be sad to watch Jim Carrey doing this character. I think Jim Carrey, number one, has already proven that returning to one of his old franchises does not work. Dumb and Dumber 2, or whatever they called the one where him and Jeff Daniels came back, was a total dud. I mean, that didn't even get a bump of people being like, oh, let's go see if they could recapture the magic. Nobody went to see that. And also, Jim Carrey has said and done so much kind of weird, controversial shit over the past 20 years. I just don't think people are going to a movie theater to see him do his shtick. As the villain in Sonic, where there's a lot more reason to be there in that theater, it's great to see him play Dr. Robotnik. I don't think he's going to bring in an audience the same way he would in the 90s. I just don't.
Yeah,
Ed, I want to go back to you because it seems
I am not stuck. I am not stuck on a gray bearded, Ace Ventura at all. But what I am saying is, it's very important that if we do pick a new character to do all these bits, that the bits are just worked into an actual mystery. So we build the mystery and build the bits at the same time, instead of being like, oh, this part of the mystery, a bunch of parrots come out and a rhino stomps on his nutsack. Oh, it's so funny. If they're very part and parcel with each other, we move the story along through the different animals he encounters and shit. And frankly, Michael Shannon played this role. I don't care. I literally don't care. Like somebody adopting this, I am a detective. I detect with animals. I'm taking this seriously. And then how serious they take it is hilarious in the same way that him being so broad with it was. You know what I'm saying? Like all these situations are so ridiculous and he's taking it personally. That could in its own way be or rather taking it professionally. That could be the same, we could just flip it. So yeah,
I'm down style.
I'm down to reboot it. Trust me. I am down to this is not my sacred cow. Ace Ventura.
This is going to be tricky. I think to Ron's point again, we do need to just throw some casting options out there first. But I think we should be really cognizant. Like if we're going to do this, let's do it for real. We need an actor who, number one, is going to carry the movie, right? Michael Shannon, it feels like a maybe to me. Like that's a completely different way to go with it, but just it's inherently funny because like people know what to expect from an Ace Ventura, and Michael Shannon ain't it. And also Michael Shannon could theoretically open a movie. So I think that accomplishes a number of things, which is not just having the person to carry it, but number two, on a meta level, making it make sense that it's not Jim Carrey, because from the beginning, like we're doing something so totally different that it's almost funny that it's not Jim Carrey. And like, I start to think, Billy, you said Tim Robinson, and that really fired for me because I'm like, damn, that would be a totally different type of Ace Ventura, which would be equally funny. I wonder if Tim Robinson's humor isn't almost too specific for the broad audience that would want Ace Ventura. I guess the only point
you sure about that?
The only point I'm making, honestly, is that this is kind of a hard needle to thread. So like, let's just get after it. Jim Carrey at the time of Ace Ventura was already quite famous on the back of In Living Color. And he had done a few movies, both in bit parts and in starring parts. Ace Ventura was sort of the one that showcased him being him. But maybe we're looking for a guy on a similar trajectory, whether it's from SNL, whether it's from another sort of comedy troupe, internet, TV. Who are some people that could fill this role? And let's just talk about the pluses and minuses.
I mean,
DJ
again,
Qualls.
I think that DJ Qualls should be in this movie no matter what.
He should be something in this movie.
I guess it depends. You put out an interesting thought, which is like there's almost two ways to go. Do you go with like a Tim Robinson who can match that energy? It's different, but it matches. Or do you lean all the way to the other side and you pull like how they're doing Liam Neeson in the new Naked Gun, where it's like the humor comes from the fact that it's not that person, it's the polar opposite. Because I think it's like once we pick a lane that way, I feel like then the casting comes. Because to me, like I said, the two that I thought, I was like, I think Marcelo Hernandez from SNL, he's the new kind of fresh, hot kid, kind of on the same trajectory of like, the In Living Color to the whatever, to the movies. Sure. It's like in 2 or 3 years, he will be the flagship of SNL. So it's like, do you kind of jump on that now? Or Tim Robinson, who's just like, he has probably the closest to like a rubber face that Jim Carrey had at that point currently that I can think of.
Yeah.
My problem is, okay, how about Bill Hader?
I mean, I love Bill Hader, but it would be a weird. I feel like Bill Hader doing Ace Ventura, he doesn't have enough of a comedic persona. It would almost be like, is this going to be Bill Hader doing an impression of Jim Carrey?
Oh, yeah.
It almost, that to me is like if you did the MTV Movie Awards skit for Ace Ventura, I could totally see, or like how they did it in Austin Powers, where they had like Tom Cruise as Austin Powers, you know. I can't think of like who my serious, like, I don't know, fucking Jason Statham or something, you know.
I knew you were going to say Jason. Oh, yeah, there's a parrot.
It's a laugh from 2 of the 4, so it's not too far off.
I mean, here's a weird one. That would just be funny. Melissa Villaseñor. Is that too weird?
I
just don't know if you could sell it.
Yeah, I feel like
literally, I don't know if you could sell it.
She's almost on the downslide, you know, no offense, but it's like she spent a good number of years on SNL, never hit, and now I haven't seen her in much, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just thinking about funny and voice people, like people who can do great voices and stuff.
I mean, part of me wonders if the most obvious choice isn't the correct one, which is to get Andy Samberg and the Lonely Island guys to do their riff on it.
I didn't even think of them. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I feel like Andy Samberg has enough of kind of a known comedic persona that's far enough from Jim Carrey. Plus, you know, Yorma and Akiva of The Lonely Island are like talented enough filmmakers in their own right. I mean, the other one, speaking of like Yorma Taccone directed MacGruber, and Will Forte is almost an interesting name to throw in there as another guy who, again, just has his own totally manic but very distinct from Jim Carrey energy. Will Forte, it might be too much of a MacGruber clone, but I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. It's just like, I don't know. If I'm playing a different game of Reboot It than everyone else, it's like, I think Andy Samberg is a fantastic choice. That kid cannot open a movie. He just can't.
That's fair.
You know, like as much as I love Hot Rod and as much as I love Pop Star, they're cult hits. They were not hits. So I don't know if, you know.
Pop Star might be the best movie to not be a hit that I've ever seen. Like, honestly, besides like, 100%. You know, the big swings that are like action stuff or something of that nature. Like it was prohibitive, didn't make its budget back. Like something that size that didn't hit. It's probably the best example I've ever seen.
Okay,
unless we kind of pivot to streaming, and this is kind of like a Netflix thing, you know.
I was going to throw that out there, like maybe even not as a TV show proper, but like, could you do an Ace Ventura limited series? You know, just like a 6-part Ace Ventura, and then we'd have to come up with like the story to justify it. But you know, in the vein of like those Mike Flanagan Netflix series, I feel like there's a lot of either true crime or just like murder mystery shows that are played seriously. Even something like Kate Winslet in Mayor of Easttown. Could you do the Mayor of Easttown for Ace Ventura? You know, because in a lot of ways
he's a drunk and then he abuses his powers.
So hear me out on this. I don't mean to filibuster, but this just hit me. In a lot of ways, Ace Ventura was like a spoof of the Basic Instinct style, like 80s psychosexual thrillers.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the version of that today? I would say it's like premium TV murder, like True Detective.
True Detective was what I was
thinking. Ace Ventura, a spoof of True Detective.
Ace Ventura, True Pet Detective.
Well, then in that vein, in that vein, do we use Adam Scott?
Adam Scott
from Severance, right?
Yeah, no, I know who he is. That's interesting because I feel like he can kind of do anything. Like he's a comedy Swiss Army knife. But I do think that would then necessitate a very specific kind of tone because he's dry. He's not big, but that could be fun too.
Honestly, if you're gonna do like Ace Ventura, True Pet Detective, it's like then fucking go hard. Get your Michael Shannon, get your McConaughey, get your someone that's just like, what, like lean into it hard,
dude.
You know.
I mean, by the way, Ace Ventura: True Pet Detective is kind of a great title if you're going to do it as a miniseries.
100%.
I mean, you could almost be like,
it.
I mean, this gimmick did not work, so don't listen to me if this is terrible. But it's like this could be like, you've heard the Hollywood story of Ace Ventura, but have you heard the real story of the real Ace Ventura? I was thinking of like Lightyear, where like it's the real story of Buzz, Or it's like, what if it's like Chris Evans, Chris Evans as like the real Ace Ventura,
Well, but also, guys, there is this new tone that I've seen that's being employed. There is a Columbo ripoff brand of show that's out right now that's doing gangbusters. They got Elsbeth on CBS for your mom and her friends, which I have watched and is very, very good. She's a lawyer and she just knows when people are lying, basically, and she just needles. Like when she walks to the crime scene, she identifies the killer and just needles them for about 40 minutes until they confess. That's just what she does, and that's what she does. And then there's Poker Face, where she has one special skill, right? She's getting all these adventures, but she has one special skill, and it can't help but trip off. So when something dies or somebody dies and they go, yeah, it's a shame. And she goes, bullshit. That person thinks it's not a shame that they died. And then she starts needling and she pulls this giant thread. A mini series where he's going through like pet adventures or trying to solve one small case that, metastasizes into larger and larger cases. And by the end, he's wrapping up all the animal cases and they were all done to precipitate this one giant crime that he's able to solve at the end.
He has to very intensely interrogate an animal.
Yes.
100% straight,
Yes. I really think that's true.
You ever seen that David Lynch short on Netflix where he interrogates the monkey? That's exactly what
But yeah, I'm just like, that's really the only other comedic angle you can take on it. It's like, what if you do a normal ass True Detective type thing, but it's all pets and animals? Like there's the comedy. Then you don't need Rubberface,
I think this is great. I'm in.
Well, there you go. Ace Ventura, True Detective. All right, that's our baseline.
True Pet Detective.
We're done.
True Pet Detective.
Okay, and so to that idea, then you could also treat this as sort of a origin story of Ace Ventura, which doesn't in any way have to fit into the old continuity. It could be a true reboot,
right?
But it's like he starts as like a man in a chicken costume twirling a sign, which it shouldn't be because that's just ripped right off of Thunderbolts. But like, he starts in some totally different place. And this is where he discovers that he has a real talent for pet detecting. That could be an interesting through line as well. And again,
okay.
Laugh.
Well, because you guys ever watch Cesar Millan and there's a guy who was also a cat whisperer. He was like the Cesar Millan of cats. I think his name was Jackson. I can't remember. It was a pandemic watch. I apologize. But it is interesting that maybe the character is able to sort of interpret behaviors of animals to mean actual meanings. Like, so, and I guess you could find that out by like, I don't know, it goes over to a girlfriend's house when he's a kid, and the dog like kind of like leans into him and does something or other, and then he's like, oh, she's cheating on me? What that? And then he finds out that the girl he likes cheating on him with his best friend or something like that.
I think stuff like that is funny, like him being like, hey, you got anything to say to me, Tracy? It's like, I don't know. I'm smelling other guys on your dog. So you got something to say? It's like you're totally.
I mean, honestly, like I think the more serious you treat it, the funnier it is. That's why I'm just like, fuck it, not an assassin that brought his cats. It's like, make it like a literal SEAL Team 6, like SEALs that were trained to go kill people, and he's like picking up droplets of water, and like just the to me, like tonally, I see. Did you ever watch the American Vandal, where they treated this thing so seriously about who? I can't remember, something about poop, but it was hilarious. I'm just like, do that. Let's do that.
I love that.
And like him,
Yeah.
and I just, it's so stupid, but you said it, so I'm gonna go with it. Just imagine the scene of him trying to like detect some shit while he's like fighting off some bad guys like on a ship, and he's trying to warn the people that the seals are gonna put bombs on the ship, and his Robin is like a sea leopard that he knows from an earlier case that he's like he broke him out of jail, and the sea leopard's underwater fighting the seals, and he's up top fighting the bureaucrats or whatever. At the end, he has to like kick a gun out of a guy's hand because he's gonna shoot the seal. Like, that's not a seal, that's a sea leopard, you stupid fucker.
No,
You know?
I love that. It's like, could you marry True Detective with like Barb and Star? Like, what does that weird flavor combination? It's like, I love the idea of like, even at the end where he has to like confront the head seal and he gets in a fist fight with the seal. What the fuck does that look like? I don't know. But that sounds really interesting, you know?
Chirping and being like, I know the government abandoned you, but you don't need to do this.
Put the gun down. It's like, art.
He's got a rocket launcher on his back.
This is either going to be the greatest thing that's ever been invented or literally the worst.
All right,
I would say the same about Ace Ventura as it stands.
100%.
Like, it's one of those two things to you, you know?
Let me try to put some top spin on this. So one of the things that I think is key to Ace Ventura is that he is a private detective. He is in the mold of Sam Spade or any Dashiell Hammett character. Maybe even like Richard Stark's Parker, where maybe he's not even necessarily by trade a private detective, but ends up having to do a lot of private eye-ish stuff. However, that original Ace Ventura does intimate that he has some sort of sordid history with the police, and whether that's just because they keep crossing paths or whether that was because he was originally a cop who like threw his badge down in disgust and gave up his gun because he had to go into pet detecting. I think all that, like, how did he get to become this independent operator? Like, who did he cross and what did he quit? And like, what did he leave behind could all be really good.
Oh, bro, I understand that we wanted to be serious, but bro, if he worked in the K9 unit and his partner was corrupt, his partner, the dog, was corrupt.
100%.
Yeah, but again, it's like,
how could you betray me, Rusty?
Serious. Yeah,
just
play it 100%
just
serious.
pretending that he doesn't smell cocaine.
Yeah. We checked that place 3 times.
He finds a hidden wall in the doghouse, and behind it, there's just treats stacked all the way to the ceiling. It's like, you've been taking payola.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, mad treats, mad balls. You know what I'm saying?
Who's been paying you off?
Dude, like
it's got a picture of his human partner.
Dude, and bricks of cocaine. And like at night, the dog would like just go drop off these bricks and get all these treats. He comes back and wall them up.
Man! And so he's got to do like a stakeout, and he's watching in night vision binoculars as the dog is like meeting with a local cat, and they're doing an exchange, and it's all just like close-ups of shitty puppet arms, just like exchanging packets of drugs and stuff.
But I want it like in my head, it's like I want it shot like The Wire, and have it be all, you know, like have it all be just like, how could you do this? You know, just like
dude, and the dog
pure
has like
Emmy award-winning acting to sell it. You know,
the dog has a hoodie on, like trying to obscure his identity.
Oh, fantastic! I mean, this I don't know why, but Evan Peters, his face keeps popping up as I'm imagining all this stuff. Just as a guy who could work within like a more serious, like Naked Gun style comedy tone, but also a little bit has the Jim Carrey rubber face. I don't know, just throwing that out there. But
that's kind of nice, bro.
I do too. And that's a decent age to attract a variety of ages to it as well. So
I think he's also kind of a low key popular actor in, you know, your prime demo.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, should we take a stab at actually, you know, putting together a storyline, or do we want to just keep pitching gags?
No, I think it's like let's figure out what the plot is, and then I think you can keep like I already love the backstory of he was betrayed by his dog.
100%. And then, I mean, then he has to try to bring it up to his captain, but the captain says, "Let it go, man." And you find out that like the captain's dog has got dirt on his owner, and so like it has to go all the way up the chain. So he's like,
Oh,
"I can't
totally.
take it anymore."
Now, one thing I would say is people might get on us for being a little doolittle-y. Is there a way we can like split the difference of like, yes, animals have goals that only Ace Ventura can see, and they can be manipulated in these ways by people that Ace Ventura can see. So he's like the daywalker between the animals, you know what I'm saying, and human greed. You know what I'm saying? He's
almost
I
it's a
think
Toy
there's-
Story situation.
yeah.
There's also something, or the opposite, or not the opposite, but I'm just like, there's also something funny to. I wonder if there's a way we could do that where it's like Ace can kind of like see through, everything and see what they're doing. But there's also a possibility if you wanted to look at it this way, where it's like none of this is actually, like these dogs aren't fucking doing shit. Like they're just being dogs, and all of this is just like he's just a weird guy that believes everything is connected somehow to like the pets. Like, and I'm not saying that's what it actually is, but I love threading that needle and walking that line of like, is this just a really weird world, or is this guy just like insane in a somewhat normal world,
Yeah.
I mean, if we start doing characters, well, maybe he has a love interest, and the love interest is like can't decide because every once in a while it looks like he's having these insane conspiracy theories that connect animals and people together in some grand scheme, and then other times he's just this like sweet guy who loves animals and loves her, and
That's kind of brilliant.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, and then you get both best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, you could like make his love interest, not to crib from the new Daredevil, but like if you make his love interest a therapist, and it's like she's trying to decide, like, is there something wrong with him or is there not? So it's almost like she's the eyes of the audience, where it's like, wait, what is he saying? Does he really believe this? What's going on here?
But he's a sweetie
Yeah.
pie. He does the right thing all the time. You know what I mean? And that's like super attractive to regular women who like make good decisions.
Right.
It's
And I
like
also
to answer your fear, Ed, I think like that's where it's like, I'm not suggesting that these dogs or animals or anything actually communicate in any way, actually like, literally hold the gun with their paw or anything. Like, I think it's just enough where you're like, we know that they're doing it, but at the same time, like, are they doing it?
Yeah, and just like certain things where we would be able to like, it's him showing the people this grand bunch of evidence. Like let's say he busted his partner, the dog, and he took an axe and started knocking a hole in the house, and there were bricks of cocaine in there, and they just go, "You put those in there, fucking dog! What an idiot! Go to jail." He's like, "No," and now he's a fugitive, or he has to cop a plea to get out of the police force because he solved the pet case. But in solving it, he proved himself to be insane and got drummed out of the force.
But it's also like not unreasonable to think like a dog finds a bunch of cocaine and kind of like buries it or puts it in a place like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's always could be a logical explanation, but it's more fun to believe Ace Ventura's weird fucking conspiracies,
Right. And I would like to make one pitch. I guess it's a pitch for a gag, but I think it is almost like a mystery starter. Those places where like there's just a shit ton of cobras, and usually like an Indian or a Pakistani dude, doing stuff with them, grabbing them by their tails or putting them in buckets and messing around with them. But they're free to just roam around, and he's like wading through them basically, like Indiana Jones' nightmare. You've seen those videos, right? Well, one of those guys gets bit by a snake and dies. And Ace Ventura shows up to try to solve the case. And everybody's like, well, this is an open to shut case. He finally got bit by a cobra. And he's like, I don't think so, my friend. And he kneels down and sucks the venom out of the guy's wound and spits it. That is Taipei venom, not cobra venom. Your culprit is still out there. And it's like, oh man, like and him trying to find out like the snake that killed the snake handler, and it spirals into this conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? Something of that nature, where it's like he has multiple animal powers. Number one, he knows a lot about animals. Number two, he could smell and stuff good like animals. I think that's fresh. It also harkens back to people like Sherlock Holmes, who have this great ability to come to a room and know a cigarette of a certain type got smoked in there 36 hours ago or whatever. Little stuff like that that's animalistic. Keeping his powers in the I know animals and I can approximate some animals. And last things last, I can perceive the motivations of certain animals and how they could be manipulated by people. I think if we have him have those three powers and build a story around that, where a larger and larger mystery is being solved across our 6 episodes, let's say, of a limited series, and it's like, but it's got all that true detective stuff of like along the way we're learning more about him, his sordid past, why he's all fucked up, and then he gets redeemed at the end by the power of friendship. Him and somebody solve the case at the end.
I got an interesting idea for an antagonist. It's I mean, it could end up in a mystery, but it's also makes him uniquely able to eventually figure it out. At first, maybe he's like seeing all the stuff, you know, that are happening with the different animals, whatever one we decide. I still actually like the idea of SEAL Team 6. It's fucking hilarious to me. But and they did try to, by the way, train dolphins to like plant bombs and shit. Like that's a thing people tried to do. So like it's not like completely insane that somebody wouldn't try to do that. That being said, it'd be interesting if he finally figures out like, hey, the only person who could be doing this is someone who's an expert with animals, someone like myself who gets how to influence other animals, and that makes it even more important that he's involved in the case, because he'd be one of the only people to go, this is obviously someone who's great with animals but is evil.
Yeah, the animal Moriarty. Yeah,
right, a real Sherlock.
Get that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh shoot, getting the phone call.
Oh,
We were having
here
fun.
we go.
Oh boy, here we go. What does Zaslav want?
Gentlemen, how are you? It's me, David Zaslav. Listen, I could not be more excited for this epic Ace Ventura reboot we're doing. And I'll tell you what, I've got some ideas. Number one, we just call it Ventura. And he operates on Ventura Boulevard. And maybe, just maybe, we learn more about the whole Ventura family and their long sordid history in Los Angeles. Almost like Chinatown, because that also was a detective movie. So you really tie it into the history of Ventura Boulevard with Jim Carrey in the lead. That's good, right?
Do we have to use Jim Carrey though?
I don't know, I'm hoping if you give me a better pitch, we could do something else. But, you know, people, they love Jim Carrey. I'll tell you what, though. If you're not going to use Jim Carrey, you got to go with my other thing. I am envisioning the poster, and you have to give me a poster of Ace Ventura with a T-Rex head behind him. Dinosaurs. So, Ventura Boulevard, history of Los Angeles, maybe the tar pits, and it all comes back to dinosaur attacking Ace Ventura.
Great. No, we could do that.
All right, I've got so many ideas. I'm gonna percolate on them a little bit. I mean, like I said, we don't have to do Jim Carrey, but just give me something to work with. Give me a name. Give me something. Ventura. What's gonna look good up there with that name? All right, I'll talk to you later, gentlemen. Goodbye.
Okay. Well,
Ventura Pet Detective? I mean, that's fine.
Ventura, it sounds like.
I mean, the concept we've been talking about, I think, could still work just with the name Ventura. It's almost like, you know, making something more serious by shortening the, you know.
But also, like, Ventura Boulevard and the La Brea Tar Pits are far away from each other, Zaslav. Yeah.
So confused.
Okay, look. Let's think here. Ron, piggybacking off your idea that his arch nemesis is also a pet detective. Look, maybe it's it's someone in the Ventura family, and that's how we tie in the lineage. Or if we can't or don't want to get Jim Carrey involved, what if it's him? What if he's the real Ace Ventura and we only see him for like the last episode for like 20 minutes and he's trying to reclaim? I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but
I mean, I don't hate the idea that like we're following a main character who's like Ace Ventura's third cousin or something, like Jim Carrey Ace Ventura. It's his third cousin. I don't know that we need to include Jim Carrey. I was actually just, sorry, this is a total left turn, but I was thinking about how to make a dinosaur attacking Ace Ventura poster work. What if like the climax of the pilot or something is set at the Cabazon dinosaurs? And if you've never been to Palm Springs, you might not know what I'm talking about. But on the freeway between Los Angeles and Palm Springs, there's this tourist attraction where they have like life-size ceramic, I don't know what they're made out of, but like painted dinosaurs that look somewhere between realistic and kitschy, but like maybe there's a shootout or something big happens there, so you could still put it on the poster. Or maybe like something happens at one of those dinosaur parks where they have robotic dinosaurs that are like, you know, just so that we don't actually have to do time travel or genetic engineering.
No.
You know,
that's fine with me. Did you guys see the last Bad Boys? Was it last summer? Where just like out of nowhere, they're like the third act, they're just like, I guess they took the hostages to that one abandoned theme park that has the world's largest alligator in it, and you're just like, all right, sure, why not?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm totally fine with doing just like,
I'm pretty sure we could get Universal
secret
City.
Hideout is the their secret hideout is the old dinosaur fucking thing from Palm Springs. That's fine, no one cares.
Or the Batman set.
There you go. From the
I was like, what?
Oh yeah, that's corporate synergy. He ends up on the Batcave set trying to solve.
I mean, if we turn this into a Hollywood thing, like
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's
thinking.
Hollywood crime, because you're up and down Ventura Boulevard, going to those goofy ass businesses that have no right to still exist. Like your fucking combination shoe store falafel stand that's been there for 50 years on Ventura Boulevard. How the fuck?
There's never been a person inside of it. You're like, yeah. You're not committing crimes.
In the spirit of like the half serious, half jokey, I don't know what this is sort of tone we were talking about. What if he starts and he has a totally different name, and he ends up like part of the ending is he assumes the name Ventura for some reason, like just to throw another twist in there. Or if his family is the Venturas, then I mean we really need to do something like the Mulholland plot in Chinatown, where all right, the Venturas have been in LA since 1830. They were one of the original settlers, and there's something like, is he digging up history on his own crooked family? Is he the black sheep of the Ventura family? And it's almost like a Knives Out.
I was gonna say, what if like we find out through the end that he's rejected his family, who they're basically like not in looks or anything, but they're like a Joe Exotic type family. Like they kept, they hoarded all these like wild pets,
Okay.
and I don't know. That's his central wound.
I mean, it would explain why he's learned everything he did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they were the original
I'm liking that more.
Animal. They were the original stunt animal family in Hollywood.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? Yeah.
Or like they trained the original gators, or they trained the original big cat. They frickin' trained the MGM lion, the Ventura family.
His dad's the bad guy.
Maybe
Darth Vader style.
And then maybe we find out later that they were like also trafficking in some of these rare animals, and they switched to Lassie halfway through the series because it turns out that they sold the other one on the black market, Okay,
spitballing here though. The nadir, the boogie nights of their family was the ASPCA. When they came in and decided to stop you from filming with animals, it fucked the whole business up. So now they have to go into different shit knowing all this animal stuff, and that's crime. That's different criminal enterprises, either selling exotic animals, using them to train to like murder dudes. I mean, let's keep it nuts, but their special animal stuff had to be used in these nefarious ways, and he rejects that. You know what I'm saying? And I think even if that family was named something besides Ventura, at the end he's been going up and down Ventura Boulevard. He solves this case. He communed with Ace the Bat Hound on the set of Batman or something, and he puts his persona together. It's like, hey Johnny, I'm Ace Ventura. You know,
I love that. Yeah,
he's born out of this case.
Yeah, we even see the office on Ventura. Ace Ventura, pet detective.
100%. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, LA has some really weird, wild, like there's coyotes still in Beverly Hills, right? You could train coyote, quote unquote, wild coyotes or wild bobcats to go kill rich people in LA. You can do the seal thing. There are seals and sea lions that hang out on the coast of Los Angeles. Like a lot of the stuff that we talked about is still valid. I mean, you could make this a whole sort of like, there's so much you could do, like the weird pampered dogs in Beverly Hills, or people, with weird exotic animals, either because they're rich. You know, I feel like there's a lot of gags that could be had just going into the weirdness of animals in LA.
Yeah,
So
and like
then,
maybe
I guess like, oh, go ahead, Ed.
I was just thinking of a gag about like trying to start and get something of the plots going.
Yeah,
somebody's rich ass dog with either like a diamond necklace on or something gets like captured and taken away. Like basically, there's coyotes in the backyard, but then you see a guy in a coyote suit that's pretty good, but he's like crawling around and he snatches the dog and runs away. And they look at the footage and they're stupid, so they go like, "A coyote snatched my dog." But the point is, the dog, it isn't because it got captured because it has like a diamond necklace on. It's a super rare clonable dog. And somebody needed to clone this dog to do XYZ. I mean, it's stupid, you know what I'm saying? But like some crime that is another crime is what I'm pitching.
I was going to say, I wonder if there's a way, if we're going to keep, and if we keep like his family where they turn to trafficking because they got pushed out of showbiz, and maybe they somehow went away and he's estranged from them, they're in jail or something. But it's like, maybe can we tie it all back to that, where it's like these pets are going missing or these animals are going missing, and the pattern seems to be that they're all people that at one time worked for like PETA, and we find out that it's all the people that ended up shutting down his family. And then, Ron, to your idea, it ends up being a member of his family that ends up being the antagonist. And that's how they are the other side of the coin of also knowing a bunch of stupid animal shit, you know?
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, there's a lot to do there. I like the idea too that there is, if we're introducing a lot of different red herrings and like possible suspects, just sort of introducing new and weirder members of his family is a great font of those people.
Right.
I wonder if there is, I mean, could you still do like a soft origin story with him on the LAPD or on the CHP or something, and we still have the weird, animal. I guess maybe my broader point is just trying to peg down the tone. Like, if we are going to go with this more, I don't want to say realistic, but like at least logical plot line of he comes from this family and these things are happening and he has to untangle it. Do we discard all that stuff that we were talking about beforehand completely? Is there still room for some kind of surrealist nonsense? That's what I'm wondering.
I think the animal skills manifest themselves much like the detective skills or the rhetorical skills used to manifest themselves in old detective stories. You know what I'm saying? Like he's investigating an old man, and the old man speaks in these weird parables and has these tough guys around. But instead, it's like this trainer who has like these gorillas who are going to fuck him up. You know what I mean? It's looking at all the noir tropes and putting fucking animals in there. Some people's toughs are animals. Some people's spies are animals. Some people's, some people's missing object is an animal or something animal related, so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Just keeping that as the through line of each of the parts of his adventure. And I am looking at something like Poker Face or those new Columbos,
I think there's still room to keep everything, well, mostly everything we talked about. It's like, could it be he was so disillusioned with his family that he joined the LAPD, And then he was like, I'm going to fight for the right side of law. But there was so disillusioned by the drug trafficking from his partner K9 that it's now got him to a place where he's just like, I'm out for myself, not for animals or family. And then somehow this case is the one that has to drag him back in. And by the end, that's when he's just like, I'm not for trafficking or for the police. I'm my own private,
There's something interesting to the idea that we start this and he loses faith in animals. And so then it almost becomes like a Turner and Hooch where like another animal pulls him back in and almost becomes like a love interest type character that he has to, that like gets him reinvested in loving animals.
Dude, I think it's an animal that comes from either an animal from a horrific crime case, like a triple nipple homicide or something, or like an animal that was involved in like a thievery thing and like it's unclear whose owner it is or something.
It's got to be the monkey from the original Ace Ventura. He has that monkey that goes everywhere with him, like just a showbiz monkey that was like busted for robbing people, but it becomes like you didn't learn to do this on your own, or like he just, I don't know, he interrogates the monkey and realizes like he didn't want to do this. Someone put him up to it. Someone's going to hurt his family. You know what I mean? And then it becomes like,
we definitely have to have like a Silence of the Lambs things where he goes to, we film it just like that, but it's like the pound or something, and a dog turns around with the glass.
Oh, dude, I mean, that would be a great thing for like either a coyote or a bobcat from up in the hills, like most number of human kills ever recorded by a wild animal in LA. Just keeping them behind glass.
And like a cougar.
It's like, damn it, talk to me. And it's just growling, and he's just like walks away. And that's the humor I'm talking about, where it's like it's so dumb, but you're also like, he didn't really expect it to talk to him, did he? Or is this coyote can communicate with him somehow and he's just not giving him anything? I don't know anymore.
No, and also just a serious interrogation scene, and then he walks past the people who either saw the interrogation or whatever, or waiting for the answer, and you're like, this guy doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
I also love that because you can kind of explain it like if he just is so good at reading animals' body language, it's like he's looking for the twitch in their eye and the way that their shoulders slouch or whatever. But also, is he insane? Like, I now I'm on board with that. I'm getting it completely. What that gag is.
Yeah.
So, if we're gonna do the love interest, how do we include the love interest on this? Are we going to do the love interest?
I mean, I think there should be, like, if we're keeping with noir tropes, which the first Ace Ventura did, and I feel like we should. Of course there's a love interest. And not only is she a love interest, though, she's a femme fatale. She's got some stake in the case, and she could be guilty. We don't know.
Okay. If we're talking about SEAL Team 6, she works at SeaWorld, and she's implicated in either the training of
she's
the
one of those divers. She's one of the divers that goes into the tank with him.
Yeah. She's one of those. And it's double, right? She's involved in the case, but she's also on the so-called nefarious side of the animal, the love of animals. Like, I love animals so much, I put them in a little tank and make them jump for people's amusement. You know what I'm saying? It's like she's sold out, whereas Ace didn't in his heart. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, she's a sellout. She's maybe the person who's training the SEALs, and there's a lot going against her. And at the end of the movie, she either is definitely trying to do that, and he busts her, and he takes his great love and puts her in jail, or she isn't that, and she realizes the error of her ways, and her and Ace participate in solving the death of the president by type A venom / seal blowing up / monkey business, whatever the bad Moriarty sets up a trap of animals to like fuck these people up. Maybe not all at the same time, but over the course of the series,
And then I actually like them both having to solve it in the end. Is he suspects her like a portion of the time while also being outrageously attracted to her. Your traditional noir trope there, and then once there's something that hits that lets him know, nope, she's not it. they fucking team up, and then when they team up, he has to use her skills with the seals, a thing he doesn't want to do because he thinks she's the bad guy, or at least doing the wrong thing in this scenario. So he has to let go of some like preconceived notions to get the information that she has so that they can combine together to solve the whole big picture.
Okay, yes to that. What if she's the one that comes? So we have an open. We got a cold open where he discovers that his canine partner is corrupt, tries to take it up the chain, gets stonewalled, and so then now he's drunk. He's drunk. He's got no prospects. No longer loves animals. No longer wants to work in law enforcement. Estranged from his family, and she shows up on his doorstep, and she's like, "I've got a seal. It won't perform." And he's like, "What do I care?" And she's like, "No. Somebody did something to my seal." And he's like, I don't do animals anymore. And she somehow convinces him, and just so she can play that role of like drawing him into the conspiracy, possibly setting him up in some way.
Perfect. And then he's like, she shows up and does that and says, "Look, you don't have to answer me now. Let's have a drink about it." And then they meet at a bar to do it, because then it's a romantic thing, because she knows she's cute. And then they meet at the bar, and then that way it's like a romantic thing, but also talking business.
Yeah, I think we solved our own mystery here. It's like, what if all the show trained animals are being like kidnapped or something, and we find out it's because the dad is bitter that it's not his animals anymore because they were kicked out of Hollywood for not being pet safe for everything. So they're trying to take out all of the show animals as revenge. And it's the SEAL team. She's lying. She's trained her SEALs to basically play dead, and they're the ones that are actually taking out the other animals. That's why there's no fingerprints, there's no nothing. That's because she's trained her fucking SEALs to do it, and she's working with his dad. The only like thread I can't figure out is like, but then why would she go to the sun in the first place unless
I was going to suggest, what if like her SEALs are not cooperating because they're all hooked on drugs, and they've all been given the drugs by a monkey who's sneaking in at night. And that monkey has been trained by the dad. And it turns out that like the drugs are also part of like some post-hypnotic suggestion that like you can activate the animals to go and do some kind of crazy thing. You know what I mean? Just so that we keep down this road of like all the animals are worthy of scorn until you dig deeper and realize that it's all humans kind of fucking with them.
Right. And realistically,
yeah,
I'm just saying, just to add to
this is the funniest
mystery,
thing we've ever done. I'm sorry.
but also like the mystery of the animals, like maybe this is dumb, maybe this is too much, but I envisioned the bad guy trying to put together this Ocean's 11 of animals. You got a monkey, you got a fucking snake, you got a this, you got a that. You're like, he grabs up all these old show business animals or show business adjacent animals that he has access to, or access to, or knows the people who have them so he can have access to them, steals them to make this like Ocean's 11 of animals to do this one central big either assassination or thievery or whatever we want to decide. That Ace Ventura is saving the president in this Netflix show.
Is there?
It's so ridiculous. It's great, but I'm just saying.
I mean, is there a way, using the Ventura title and still thinking about the ending where it's like somebody's going to finger him as a member of the family, and either he or the love interest, or somebody's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, and she's like, "Ventura." His name's Ventura, just because he now has an office on Ventura Boulevard. But what if like he saves Ventura Boulevard? Like somebody is trying, to continue. I mean, now it's pretty well gentrified, but it's like somebody is trying to, or I guess it would be his dad, right? Is trying to like take over a huge swath of Ventura Boulevard, or under the guise of, I mean, could you even make it like, like they just finished that overpass project, like way out off the 101 to like let animals roam.
Yeah.
Is there a corrupt version of that where it's like we want to create another wildlife overpass, but we'd have to bulldoze this entire neighborhood. And so that's like the mayor or the governor is like working with Ace Ventura's dad to train animals to kill people. I don't know.
Okay. To yes add that.
Please go.
If we're going down there, the you remember the cougar that was attacking everybody up in the hills?
Hell yeah.
They dosed that cougar to start attacking people so they could drum up public interest in bulldozing all that land. You know what I'm saying? To have some, because they're like, hey, these animals don't need to be here. It's almost opposite of that, but I'm saying like,
yeah.
Ace Ventura would want to stop that because obviously he would want the animals to have some place to be. But if we drum up Jaws style enough anti-animal hate in the woods or something, then the rich people. And I'm not going to go full oligarch for Ron, but like some of the powers that be on Ventura Boulevard would be able to develop that land and fuck all those animals over. And Ace Ventura is not down with that. Maybe that's too dry.
No, I mean, there's something to it. I'm also thinking of, for a while, there was like a 20-foot python loose in Thousand Oaks or, like Sherman Oaks. I'm wondering if there's something just to the idea of like, it doesn't have to be some scheme bigger than like one guy, but like driving people out of a neighborhood, just what's like some real William Mulholland, I'm going to control the water supply type of thing, but that he's using these animals for. Yeah.
What if that's the trick? Because one of the things that is interesting about the first Ace Ventura movie is the trick where you think it could be a lot of people, and then it's someone pretty surprising, right? What if we paint that it looks like the whole time it looks like it's gonna pointing at his dad or one of his family members, and then it's actually somebody who used to work for the family or somebody who is I don't know, maybe who used to visit, or somebody who just basically. The reason I'm saying that is like I think it might be too. I think we might make it too obvious if we show this background of his family having been what they were, to then come around for. What do you think? I don't know. Maybe I'm going too.
I think his backstory is something that gets unwound the deeper he goes into the investigation, right?
Oh, okay, so we don't see that right away. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I hear.
Can I just like? Sorry, I'm getting a little lost. Can we table set for a second?
Please.
So we're saying that potentially it is these animals are being drugged and
trained
to cause chaos, to potentially to clear the way or to drum up public, like we need to get rid of this land for them for someone else's reasons. Is that what we're saying? I'm getting a little lost because I feel like we're throwing out like 2 or 3 different plot lines.
I don't think we've nailed that down. I think we all like the idea that animals are being affected to do something for somebody else's nefarious designs.
Okay.
But I don't think we've really nailed what that would be yet. But what if it's like we're going to kill the new head of the ASPCA or the new head of PETA or something that like is just a revenge plot. That goes back to the original Ace Ventura, where it's like he has to investigate every member of the 1985 Miami Dolphins, which is just a really weird thing. So it's like, what if the connection is like it's all old people. They were all founding members of the ASPCA board, or like they were all connected to, they were all the former handlers of the horses that played Black Beauty, or like, connected to something real.
Yeah. They're all either old Hollywood animal trainer people who were like messed up or something, in the light of day, and they're ASPAC people. So it's like, what angle is everybody going here? Do they want to stop this or not? And
I almost wonder, like,
that out.
Could you circle back? I'm not married to this idea. I'm just saying, like, could you circle back to like, what if we found out, I joked earlier, I was like, you found out that they sold Lassie after the first season, and that's not the real Lassie. It's like, what if there's a mass conspiracy that comes out that's like all of our beloved Hollywood icon animals were replaced and sold at some point, and they're going after every single person that was a handler or that was something. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I don't know. There's just something funny
hide
to me
information.
about there's something funny to me or fun about also hearkening back to this like weird legacy of like the Hollywood animal, like the
like
I
Sliver.
like that. You know what? I
love
like that. Yeah, I like that because like going back to being like, and Lassie was a commie, so they had to get her the fuck out of there. She was reading all this Marxist stuff, and she kept barking to the people.
Dude, I mean, almost it's like instead of trafficking, like what if his family were like pet fixers, and it's like if there was like a problem and they didn't fall in line, his family would like literally kidnap them and replace them. I love the idea of like the dark side of the Hollywood pets, and it's like the Ventura family or whatever they are like were a part of that. They were a part of covering up all of this, dark side of the animal stuff.
What if the animal love interest, for lack of a better way to put it, is an animal that's going to star in some big name reboot? So it's like the horse that's going to be Black Beauty, or it's the chimp that's going to be Bonzo, and they're almost killed, and so that's how he gets roped in. Like they were going to be hit by this assassination squad, but they failed, and so now somebody's trying to come to finish the job, and Ace Ventura has to protect this animal actor. The new Toto from they're doing a new Wizard of Oz, something like that.
And like Ace comes in, and the Toto is all dressed up with a sling and like a neck brace, and it's on a little gurney in a real hospital with like shit connect to him. And stuff. It's like, me and this guy go way back if you'll give us the room. He's like talking to this trussed up dog about like, what do you think happened, brother? I'm trying to do any threats made. Like, he's going through the whole interrogation with this stupid fucking dog.
I'm totally fine with that. I think the only thing I would add is like every one of those individual cases, I think should be like real looks at how Hollywood, like being a Hollywood animal is effed up. Like from, he's an acting orangutan, but the way they're using CGI in every movie now, he's getting no work, so he's an alcoholic, right?
Right.
Then another one is, well, how did the 20-foot python get loose in Thousand Oaks? There had to have been foul play. Who did the python? What dog did the python eat? Whose dog? Was that dog worth a lot of money? Oh my God! It turns out that dog was the actual dog from Frasier, and the one who died was a replacement, because there's a whole ring that sells original Hollywood animals and replaces them with mutts. Like all that stuff should be in there in some way or another.
Yeah, okay. And I would say it's like Frasier's a show on like right now, like, or if you know what I'm saying, whatever the show, the mutt from Muttley and the guys, that's not him, dude. Ace talking to the kid on the set, and it's like, I don't know who the fuck this Muttley is, but it ain't my Muttley, man. He smokes a cigarette. It's like, and nobody believe me, man. I'm a drug addict and shit, man. I'm first on the call sheet. I ain't no goddamn drug addict, man. It's like 6-year-old kid who's giving him all this evidence, giving him this thing about the dog. Yeah, I love that shit.
Cool.
All right. Well, I think we've got the sketch of a plot. We kind of know what we're working with here. I think we should move on to some casting. I'm gonna say, at the very least, let's cast Ace Ventura. If it's gonna be Evan Peters, I'm fine with that, but we could also throw out more names. Let's cast the femme fatale girlfriend, maybe not, who, whether or not she's a SEAL trainer, she has to have some, whether she owns a Hollywood animal, she could be like the COVID compliance officer on a Hollywood set. Like, just give her. The only reason I say that is in the original Ace Ventura, the fact that Courtney Cox is like the PR lady for the Dolphins, and that's why he gets
That's
roped
so
in.
funny.
It's
Yeah.
funny
Can
as
we make
hell.
her? Can we make her the animal intimacy coordinator?
100%. 100%.
Specifically, animal intimacy.
Yes. Yeah. And she works on all these movies. And yeah, that could be the tertiary connection. Like, oh, and that could be her being a red herring too. It's like, I looked it up. You worked with all of these missing animals. You know what I mean? It's like, why didn't you tell me this or whatever? Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff. And I think she could have a history working at like SeaWorld back in the days. And maybe that's what broke them up back in the days, is like, you sold out. You went to SeaWorld. Well, I tried to repent. And I tried to work with these fucking Hollywood animals. And let me tell you something. This ain't all sweetness and light over here either, buddy. You know?
Now they have a history. She's like they got a whole thing going on.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, in noir stuff, you always have either that new gal that comes in with the case, and we can make her that, or there's the one that you got away and you keep bumping into each other because you're in the same world.
I mean, I kind of like both, right? Like, you could have the sweet girl, or maybe she
Love
only
triangle.
seems sweet, and she's the intimacy coordinator. And then you could have the femme fatale, or maybe she's not involved, and that's the SEAL trainer who he has a history with, who was down in SeaWorld for years until she, moved to the Aquarium of the Pacific or something, So there's two possible red herrings. And then I also think we should cast the dad, like, or if it's not the dad, then the heavy, right? And maybe even two heavies, because one is going to be a red herring and one's not. But in that classic film noir mold, you need to have like the obvious bad guy, the Big Lebowski, and maybe the not so obvious bad guy. So
Well, I think the obvious bad guy should be our take on something like the Joe Exotics, the people that think there are no moral compunctions to grabbing animals up and doing whatever you want to them and making animal tourism. And if your workers get their fingers chopped off, who cares? It's all about the fun of it, right? You want to hold a baby cub, you know what I'm saying? You want to hold a toothless cobra and act like you're brave. You want to, that guy being the red herring bad guy because he's so obviously evil and venal.
Sure.
And then the good guy being like, don't you get it? If we can have these animals strike back in a way so they know the power of the animals, baby. Like, that's serious terrorist zealotry that would cause you to make an animal conspiracy and then use SEALs to blow up the president. It's because you're trying to make a larger point about the value of animals and how they should be respected or something.
Well, you said a Joe Exotic, so Danny McBride jumped right into my
and this
brain
is
immediately.
That actually crosses over with something I was going to say. That exact character that you described, Ed, was the heavy of the most recent season of The Righteous Gemstones. He was played by Michael Rooker, and it was exactly what you just described. He was essentially just an evil Joe Exotic. So I wouldn't want to retread that territory. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we make up something else with you know what, bro? How about this? What if we make him a person who's found to be an evil Steve Irwin then? Because I think that's an entirely different archetype, right? The friend
in
of
front
the
of the
animal,
camera type of guy.
in front of the camera guy, and you find out he's shitty behind the camera. It's like he doesn't just stick his fingers up crocodile bums on the camera. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? He's just a jerk. I'm saying he's a jerk person, even with a jerk ass family. Like you find out like the Bindi and the Mindy or whoever his kids are assholes too in training to like be shitty to animals. And Ace is like, oh man, I gotta stop this. But they're not the villains though. They're bad, but they're not the masterminds.
The casting that comes to mind immediately for that would be Justin Theroux, who famously played G. Gordon Liddy in White House Plumbers on HBO. Played kind of a similar role of like the venal contagonist in Beetlejuice. He was the one who was dating Deirdre's mom, or was trying to marry. Wow, what's her name? I can't not remember.
Jenna Ortega. I don't know.
No, Winona Ryder. Whatever. Beetlejuice and
Jenna Ortega's mom. Yeah, I don't remember.
Lydia. Jesus.
Lydia
Dietz.
Us all blanket on that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also was thinking, I don't know why so here's the thing with casting for this. It's like, how much do you want to tip your hand to the comedy versus how much do you want to try to get an actor's, like, do you want to cast this as if it was the next season of True Detective, or like, because it's like the other thing that I thought it was like, for some reason, like I'm the crocodile hunter guy. I don't know why, like I'm thinking of like a Steve Zahn type, but I'm like, but now you've laid your cards fully out on the table that this is like fully comedic. It's like, do you commit to the bit and try to get like the most serious? Like Evan Peters is a great pull because it's like he can be funny, but he's known for more of like the Jeffrey Dahmer and stuff like that. So it's like, do you try to find all the actors who kind of ride that line as opposed to going to a straight comedic actor? You know?
Okay. But just let's table that for 1 second. I do have a pitch for the actual bad guy who is related to Ace Ventura.
Okay.
I think Ty Burrell from Modern Family has that weird widow's peak. He's so genial. But let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Without us seeing all his acting and stuff, if he was just walking towards you at fucking night, that dude is evil. That dude is evil. I can see it so
Dude, he's
clearly.
America's dad.
I know, and that's
you
why
were trying to cast Carl Winslow as the villain of the movie. I'm just saying.
But I'm saying that is what makes it work, because I know he could turn on the evil. If you watch him in the best Zack Snyder movie ever, which is Dawn of the Dead, he's a perfect super fucking asshole. Now imagine he's playing America's dad, and then he turns that asshole on at the end when Ace is breaking him down, and he's so infallible.
I'll throw out a name. I was thinking more along the lines of like Russell Crowe. Like I feel like Russell
That's pretty
Crowe,
sweet too. Yeah,
is like just serious stuff, but I also think he could get the joke, but he would play it, and I think you have to play it like Russell Crowe.
That's the thing, and not to cut you off, but the more I started thinking about, if we have a cast with Steve Zahn, Justin Theroux, Ty Burrell, we're all thinking along a very specific line. Like that would be the cast of a 90s style Sandler movie made right now. So exactly. I kind of agree with Billy, like go more in the direction of guys who are talented enough to nail the comedy, but just in the driest, most unexpected way possible. Like,
would Jason Bateman work?
Comedians. I mean, Jason Bateman could be a supporting character somewhere for sure.
Yeah, I just like I almost like I almost just want to run away from anyone that's like primarily known as a comedian.
Right.
Like that to me, that again, that's what I meant by like I don't want to almost like tip our hand at the tone. Because the minute that you put, someone that's known for comedy, even if they've like, and Jason Bateman, like, The Gift, like he can do other shit clearly or whatever that one was.
Right. Well, what if we did Evan Peters as the Ace Ventura? He's obviously a certain type of pretty serious actor that can do whatever comedic chops, but also then the last one would be something like a Russell Crowe, a really respected actor that's going to ham it up and all that kind of shit. And then we got to split the difference with the girl. I think the girl has to be more interesting, frankly, to me, than another white girl. The person who wants to perpetrate this, that's making the case. Because again, Ace has to put the case together over episodes as we get little bits of backstory, and he's learning, this conspiracy involving the animals. He's trying to tie in the disappearance of the snake and Toto and the dog from the new Frasier reboot and so on and so forth, what this disappearance means, and then the SEALs. And he puts it all together that is a grand plan to get certain people who have security positions out of the way so that the SEALs can swim through and, to set up the act. I think that's all fine, but there's characters in each of those episodes. You know what I'm saying? That we could try to circle and put in there. Michael Shannon. Why can't Michael Shannon be the bad guy in the end? Because he's serious as fuck. You know what I mean?
I mean, honestly, depending on what age range you wanted, I would almost go back to your very first thought and like pitch him for Ace Ventura if that was the case.
See, I was gonna say make Michael Shannon the Steve Irwin character because that's completely unexpected.
Yeah.
Right.
He would eat that up, and the whole time you would be going, he's the bad guy though, right? Like he's got to be the bad guy.
Exactly, but he's not. He's just
an asshole.
He's an asshole, but he's not the bad guy.
Yeah. Okay. Locked. Okay. Locked. Great. Yeah. Send the offer out.
I was gonna say, Ed,
Michael Exotic.
if you're gonna say that one of the female leads needs to be not just another white girl, I don't know if she's just another white girl, but we keep it in the HBO Max family and get Hunter Schafer from Euphoria, who's become somewhat of a scream queen, who, is a trans woman, but is also fast becoming a sex symbol. She seems primed for a weird film noir femme fatale role. I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I don't want it to be seen as us throwing a carrot to that community, but if she was into it, I wouldn't be averse to that at all.
Okay.
I've never seen it, but I'll take your word for it.
Oh, fair
Yeah,
enough.
she's awesome.
Also, just somebody. I just think there are actresses like looking at like the entire cast of like. I don't know. We keep saying Jenna Ortega every time we want to do like Latin person.
She is
what's
great.
the new ones? What's some new people?
What about
Andrew
Linda
Arjuna?
Schneider?
bro?
ahead.
One of them has to be my baby from Thunderbolts, dude. Was Vonathan. I love her.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
Geraldine
thought you were gonna say Florence Pugh, and I was like, you're getting Tom
No,
Holland levels of
No.
Ooh, Tom Holland
Yes, Tom Holland is Ace Ventura.
playing the femme
No.
fatale.
I mean, Geraldine Viswanathan,
Great idea.
definitely a star on the rise, has done TV to great acclaim, and would work as the exact type of person where you're like, so is she a comedic actress playing a dramatic role, or is she a dramatic actress who's going to turn comedian? Is she evil? Is she not? Like, she can ride that line in a way that I think would work really well.
Mhm.
Agreed.
Seconded.
Yep. I love her.
Send the offer.
Yep. So
Okay,
which
send the
girl would
offer.
you be playing? Would you be playing the more of the one that is, because like she could play young, she could play older. She's about 29 in real world life, but 25 to 30 to a well preserved 35 or whatever she could do.
Let me throw
Femme
this out.
fatale.
I think, yeah. So number one, I think that she would almost be typecast as the more girl next door type. So you make her the femme fatale just to play against type. However, she is also a native Australian. So casting her in the like the Steve Irwin role, or maybe she's Michael Shannon's maybe girlfriend / partner, and you really lean into the uncomfortable age range because they're Hollywood people. Like, that could be interesting too,
Yeah, something interesting about that. Yeah, I want to have her be good though. I mean, I know she's not going to be bad, but like the good bad. I don't think on it. But yeah, she's in the movie. I love her.
The series.
Okay.
The series, yes. She's in the
making sure
picture.
Just making
She's
sure
in
that
the
Ed's mind is not somewhere else.
No. Oh, it is. Yeah.
Are we locking in Evan Peters as Ace Ventura?
I mean, your Marcello was pretty good.
I don't think that worked. I just don't think that works for this version.
For this version, he would tip that it is funny, but again, that's kind of
no. I mean, like if we were trying to do Jim Carrey light, like who's the next Jim Carrey, then I would be clobbering you guys over the head with him. But I don't think that works for this one.
Yeah, I think Evan Peters works for me. I'm cool with it. What do you get? What about you guys?
I'm searching my head for like who's another actor that again could either play as dramatic can be, but can also understand the comedy, and in a weird way could be like a non-canonical younger version of Jim Carrey if you do want to treat it that way. And Evan Peters, like Adam Brody maybe, but he's almost like too soft for this kind of hard-boiled story that we want to go with here. I feel like there's got to be a more of those types of actors. The kid who played Joker on Gotham, Cameron Monaghan, I think his name is.
Oh,
what about
possible.
Robert Pattinson?
He might do it. He's weird enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like he'll take some weird shit that you're like, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I just think like trying to trying to bridge the gap mentally from Robert Pattinson to Jim Carrey is like, what happened in those years between this series and those movies is a
Hey,
really
also,
funny
It's
thought,
really
you know?
interesting.
What about? I also want to throw this out there. What about Will Poulter? Look at Will Poulter's face and the way that he does stuff. I think there's something there that he could do. If we're looking at that age range, we're looking at like older, because we have to have somebody that has been drummed out of the force. Usually, don't get drummed out of the force when you're 21. You know
Dude,
what I
him
mean?
and Evan Peters are like the same age.
All I'm saying is, freaking Evan Peters is literally 38.
But also, Ed, you're right. But there's also something funny about the unexpected happening, right? You know, like you use that to your advantage if that's the case. You know, yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah,
I just
Evan Peters
but
is
I'm not
38.
thinking. Yeah, I'm not thinking of like rubber faces, because I like the idea of him just being like, "Are you gonna do that? Like, I need your help. Are you gonna help me?" And be like, "All right." You know, like it's all very, you know.
That's like very serious.
Looking for
Yeah.
gritty 30-year-olds, it's its own fool's errand.
I mean, that's why I was just like, Pattinson at least sold me on the fact that he can be grungy and have a noir VO with the Batman, you know?
I actually think it's interesting to do Pattinson because I'm just picturing him being so serious in all of these scenarios, and how hilarious it would be, and how you'd literally tell him, like, you're not going to be doing anything over the top. You're going to be serious, but with animals. I think it's fucking hilarious.
I mean, the even more absurd version of that is the dude who played the bald guy in Honora, and have him do the whole movie with a hard Russian accent. So he's like, "All righty then," like a guy like that.
Oh, that guy, you that's not crazy, man. I kind of think that's interesting.
I'm telling you, like, if you actually want someone who comes across as like gritty and weathered, and I was going through my mental Rolodex and trying to pick out somebody from either like a Safdie Brothers or a Sean Baker movie, somebody who has that grit and texture that those filmmakers create in their work. And that guy just came to mind, and I'm like, the idea of Ace Ventura also being like a Russian immigrant, like as if he has, you know, like ties to the Russian mob or something, could be really hilarious.
And that's why he talks in those stupid ass catchphrases, is because he's learning. That's how he learned English.
That's how we got rid of.
All righty then. You know what I mean?
Like Terminator 2, hasta la vista. All righty then, you know.
Oh,
man.
I don't love it, and yet I do love it. I
still think
it, why
Evan
not,
Peters
right?
is the
You know?
choice. But yeah, I'm trying to go outside the box here. Like, how far outside the box can we actually take this thing?
I just wish we had a 30-year-old Carl Urban. Like, who is the 30-year-old Carl Urban in this scenario?
Honestly,
you know,
I would just throw out like, fuck it. Like, let's say it's either Pattinson or Evan Peters, and let the comments decide which one they like better.
Yeah,
And then
that
the
sounds
rewind-
good to me.
I mean,
And
the
the
other
rewind will officially cast it, you know?
The other one I got to throw into that is Jack Quaid.
Oh,
Speaking of
yeah.
Carl Urban. Jack
that's not a-
Quaid.
Yeah, Jack Quaid. I think Jack Quaid and a couple of these other ones are very de rigueur. Can we what about that square-headed fucker from Stranger Things? You know the one I'm talking about. He works
Yeah,
with
Joe Keery.
Eli.
I freaking love that guy.
I like
Joe
that guy
Keery.
too. and
Wait.
his
Sorry.
haircut-
Who's the square-headed guy from Stranger Things?
it's
Which
Joe-
character is that?
His name's Joe Keery. And he's the one that works with Maya Hawke in the
Oh,
George Julius thing.
yeah.
Not one of those
yeah.
loser kids. I'm talking about the older,
See,
Yeah. Okay.
I'm looking at a picture
I've
of
seen
Joe
that.
Keery right now. He's great. Trying to make that guy be serious, and he's got the big head and the big hair. And we wouldn't even have to style it weird. He has an Ace Ventura head already.
and he's got a draw. I mean, people like him. I think that's a great idea.
I think people have been waiting for him to have his breakout role. I think he's an extremely talented comedic actor who can ride that line. I'm all for that. I think Joe Keery frankly, I've been waiting to cast that guy in a reboot, and I don't know why he didn't come to mind. So Ed, phenomenal pull.
Sure.
Yeah.
Boom.
What kind of showrunner do we want to put on this thing? Can we think of at least pull a name out of our butts that would understand the tone, that would be able to walk this tightrope of it's absurdist, it's surreal, it's also gritty, it's like a film noir, but I think the surrealist element is really the hardest to capture because not a lot of people have that sensibility. And even as I'm saying it, Donald Glover did it in Atlanta. And we just talked about him for another reboot recently, so I don't want to keep going to the same well. But to me, some of those more out there episodes of Atlanta are the closest thing I can think of tonally to what we're talking about here.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, I also just was thinking, I referenced it earlier in the episode, but I'm looking at the names now. Dan Peralt and Tony Yakonda were the two that created American Vandal. And to me, it's that's the kind of humor that you need to nail. Take it seriously just enough that it, that it lands,
And this is definitely, even though it's a Zaslav joint, this is even more and more like a Netflix joint. We get Zaslav to produce it for Warner Brothers. We throw it on Max for 2 seconds. They yank it off there for no reason and sell its rights to some other people. That's a Zaslav perfect move. Do that all the time. So let's do that. You know what I mean?
I love bringing those American Vandal guys in because they need more high profile work, and they've already proven they can work in this space. So that might be the perfect choice. I'm totally down with that.
Awesome.
Plus, they can bring Jimmy Tatro with them, who would be another great sort of minor character in this. He's the kid who was also in The Real Husbands of Simi Valley. Just the real meat-headed guy. He has to have a role in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
All right. Well, with some reticence, because I don't feel like we totally nailed it, but I will just say, gentlemen, we've achieved reboot. We have got an Ace Ventura reboot by David Zaslav's request. It is going to be called Ventura and take place up and down Ventura Boulevard, getting into the sordid history of Los Angeles, and in this case specifically, the sordid history of on-screen animals. Our Ace Ventura is going to be played by Joe Keery, going by a different name than Ace Ventura to begin with. He starts out as a young cop on the LAPD. He finds out that his canine partner, who he came up the ranks with, is actually corrupt. Tries to get justice and is turned down and throws his badge down in disgust, becomes a washout until the day when the star of some brand new reboot, because we're going to be self-referential with this, be it the new Lassie or the new Bonzo Chimp, whatever, is targeted for assassination, and the owner/handler comes to him and says, because of your history, you're the only guy that can help. And then he gets pulled into a tangled web of conspiracy involving the diver at an aquarium who trains the seals to put on the seal show. Maybe the seals are getting drugs from a monkey who sneaks in at night. We also talked about maybe somebody has trained a bobcat to go in and rip people to shreds. Maybe someone has released a python into the hills to go and eat some valuable dog. We maybe have discovered that there was a ring of people who at one point were kidnapping or killing star animals in order to traffic them to other rich people. There's all kinds of nefarious animal-related crimes that ultimately add up to someone. And in a twist, we find out, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, Ace Ventura's dad, who's a longtime animal trainer, who has enacted a sinister plot to train animals to kill. This is where it starts to fall apart, but we'll get there in the rewrites. To be showrun by the guys who did American Vandal. Also starring, in no particular order, Geraldine Viswanathan, maybe Hunter Schafer, definitely Michael Shannon playing a Steve Irwin caricature of some kind. There's room for all of your favorite serious, committed actors. Russell Crowe reprising his role from Craven as the "you can't trust him" father. I mean, the list goes on, people. If you didn't like this, if you didn't like what we had to say, get active in the comments, because I might be down there picking bones with some of this reboot. I mean, this one is all over the place. Gentlemen, any last thoughts as we wrap this up?
That was fun. I had a good time. I laughed. I laughed
Here's the-
more
yeah.
than I've ever laughed, I think, doing with this. And we've done some funny shit.
Quality wise, maybe it's a Knight Rider, but shit, at least we had fun this time making it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I would watch at least 67% of what we pitched. I think could be really great.
Yeah.
Which is
Like-
passing.
Right, and I just think dragging Ace Ventura into the world of sort of the Naked Gun, you know, sort of situation. I think melding those worlds is kind of what we were shooting for. If you don't like that, that's fine. But like, I think us taking certain aspects of it serious made it even funnier than just a bunch of clown fest stuff. So
100%. And if you guys enjoy what we're doing, reminder, push that notification bell, subscribe, do all the stuff that gets us moved up in the charts so people can start paying attention to us. Because this shit, if nothing else, was entertaining, and you know it was.
Well, as always, we are the Reboot Crew. For Billy Business, Ed Greer, and Ron Swallow, I am producer Bill, and we will catch you for the next reboot.